Hey, Nighthawks!
We're academic coaches at UNG,
and we spend our days in coaching conversations,
talking all about your success in college,
the tough moments, the little wins,
understanding your strengths and the skills you need to thrive.
We're here to share real coaching moments,
offer you practical strategies,
and simple steps that you can apply today.
We believe you have what it takes to succeed at UNG,
and we're cheering you on every step of the way.
This is Nighthawk Coach Talk. Hey Nighthawks, welcome back to Nighthawk Coach Talk. I'm Hannah England, Director of Academic Coaching, and I am joined today by Miss Laura Russell, who is Program Coordinator for Veterans and Adult Learners, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited to have you and talk through all things veterans and adults.
Yep, sounds great.
So tell us a little bit just about your position and what you do to support students.
Okay. So I work with veterans and adult learners, and I do a lot of programming for you guys. So what we do is we try to make sure that you have all the resources to be successful here. Because when you're coming back to school, there are a lot of different struggles that you guys might have as adult learners or veterans. So we just make sure that we have programming for you guys, that we are able to tell you where all the resources are so that you don't feel overwhelmed, so that you're able to continue and graduate. That's the goal,
yes.
Is to get through and graduate. So we don't want you stopping out. So we just make sure that you have all the resources at your fingertips and that we can guide you through some of the challenges that you might face as an adult learner or veteran.
Awesome. And so when students are veterans or adult learners and they're coming back to school or coming to school for the first time, a lot of times they're just different. They're not your typical freshman right out of high school.
Correct.
So what are some of those differences that you notice?
Okay. So it is a totally different mindset. There's actually a theory out there called adult learning theory. So it's the fact that you are choosing to come back to school. A lot of 18-year-olds are kind of pushed by their parents to go to college, whether they want to go or not at that time, whether they're ready or not. But with adult learners, and veterans, you are choosing to be here. So you have a whole different mindset. It's you typically know what your purpose is. You typically have a good idea of what major that you want to do. And sometimes that changes, but you typically know what you're here for, right? Mm-hmm. Another difference is, and this is something I think that a lot of adult learners and veterans kind of worry about when they're coming back to school. They feel like, I've been out of school for a long time. It's been 10 years since I was in high school, or, I was in college, 5 years ago and I stopped out, and I just don't know if I have what it takes to get a degree and be successful. So what I always say is, in those years since high school, you've worked. You've probably worked, or you've served in the military. Many of you have families. You've had to learn how to problem solve. You've had to learn how to pay bills. You've had to learn how to juggle all these things that you're doing. So you don't get the option of giving up, right? As an adult, as a parent, as serving in the military, you don't have the option of giving up. So that's a good thing, because you have learned. These are things that you have learned through your life experience. So when you get into a classroom, you're typically not going to just give up. Like if you don't understand something, you're not going to just give up on it. You're going to do your best to make good grades and to get any kind of help that you need. So you've become problem solvers. You have a lot of knowledge up here that you don't realize is there until you get into a classroom. And I can tell you, I was an adult learner myself. I started college when I was 26, and I felt very nervous going in. I felt like I was going to stick out. Yeah. But it's funny how all the younger students flocked to me because they knew, they could just tell I'm a problem solver and I'm going to work hard on this and I'm not going to give up on this and I'm going to do my best. You'll notice that they flock to you when you have group projects. Yeah. They're going to be like, I want to be in hers. I want to be in his. I want to be in that group. So anyway, there's a lot that you've learned through your life experience that is going to help you in the classroom. And of course, I'm not saying that works for every class. We'll probably talk a little bit more about this in a minute, but I know math is is something that a lot of people coming back to school are very nervous about. But we have resources and we can help you with that. So you're different. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're different. We have we have over 3,000 adult learners on our campuses and over 500 veterans. So you're not alone when you come back to school, and you're in, if you're watching this, you may be in a classroom right now that's full of adult learners and veterans. So look around you. You're not going to stick out like a sore thumb when you go back to college. You're going to have a lot. You're also going to have a lot of engagement, because you're not going to probably sit back in your classroom and not talk.
Yeah.
You have the knowledge and experience. So we want to hear that. Your teachers want to hear that. So you're going to be great in class. You don't need to worry about, not knowing anything.
Yeah, I definitely hear you saying like the content might be hard because they haven't been in that structured like environment where you're learning science or learning math. But the skills that they've learned in the military or out and just in the world, in the workforce, those are really the skills that, matter, in my opinion, matter more than some of the content.
Right.
And I hope nobody's listening that math is important, all the things. Yeah. But like those life skills are things that are more important. Right. And that's what's going to help you persevere in those classes that are a little bit challenging. You also mentioned that like these students are not alone.
Correct.
And like you said, we've got so many students who are adult learners coming back who are veterans. And the really cool thing about UNG, in my opinion, is that you see that across all campuses. Right. And you can sit in a classroom with someone who's 65 and, coming to get his first degree, or a 17-year-old college freshman who is like scared out of their mind. And so we've got that wide range. We're very, very diverse in our population.
The age and experience level can be, yes. It can be very, very different.
Absolutely.
We have 80-year-olds taking classes. I mean, it's pretty amazing the things that you can learn from people if you just sit down and listen to them.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and that kind of takes us into like the resources that support students. And again, UNG has so many resources. Right. Whatever you need, pretty much, we have a resource that will cover that. But there's some that I feel like our veterans and adult learners use a little bit more more often.
Right.
What are some of those resources?
So the first thing I do want to say is, as far as resources in your classroom, your instructor is always going to be the first one to go to. You want to advocate for yourself. That's one thing. I think that's one of the most important things that I can tell you. You need to advocate for yourself. So for example, me in high school, I sat in the back of the room. I was shy. I was quiet. I didn't understand something in math. I didn't ask. I'm going to figure it out at some point. I did not advocate for myself. As an adult learner, you probably naturally are going to advocate for yourself, but I suggest that you really do that. If you don't understand something, that you make an appointment. If you don't want to ask in class, that's fine, okay? But then you make an appointment with your instructor, and office hours. And you ask the questions, and sometimes they can give you extra resources. But there's so many other resources as well. But I always suggest, first of all, go to your instructor and just say, hey, I'm not understanding this. And they love to help you. They don't like just teaching class and everybody leaves and that's it. They like to get to know their students. They like to hear your story. Why are you here? What made you come back to college? So instructor first. Always go to your instructor first, because they're the expert in the field. They're the expert in what you're learning. But other than that, we have so many other resources available. So counseling is a big one. You are going to be stressed out. I'm not going to lie and say this is just an easy road. There are going to be some classes that are a breeze for you, because it's just like, history or, I don't know, psychology. It's like you've lived this life and a lot of these things just from life, from listening to the news, from all that. But you will probably be stressed out somewhere along the way because you are going to be trying to make all A's. That's the mentality of an adult learner too. That was my mentality. I'm like, I'm going to make all A's. I will not make anything less than an A. Well, then there's going to be a time where you might make less than an A, and you really need to be able to accept that. But you're doing the best you can, so you just do your best. But counseling is available as part of what you're paying fees for that. Mm-hmm. And we have counseling on all the campuses. So if you're stressed out, you go make an appointment with counseling and let them talk you through it. They do group counseling. They do all kinds of stuff.
I had a conversation with student counseling the other day, and they were talking about just like how open they are for as soon as you start to feel anything that you're like, this isn't right. Or I don't know that I can quite catch this on my own.
Right.
Like you can walk in, they have walk-in hours. Yep. You can make an appointment, you can call, whatever it is. They are so willing and available to help for sure.
Right. So student counseling, financial aid is a big one. For veterans, for both adult learners and veterans, but veterans, you're going through a different process and you're using your VA benefits. So there are a couple of people that are the gurus for the VA benefits on our campus. They're the ones that can look up all your information and help you figure out what's going on. If your payment hasn't come through, they can look it up and say, all right, you're missing this. You need to turn this in. Financial well-being, jump in anytime you want. Financial well-being is especially important for adult learners and veterans because a lot of you have families. You're supporting other people. It could be that you're a caretaker for a parent. I mean, there's a lot of other things that you might be dealing with. So financial well-being, we try to do workshops and things like that to help you guys with that. But also just if you're experiencing some financial issues, come talk to me first. Then I'm going to try to get you to the right people to see if there's some help available. Career services.
Yeah.
Is a great one.
Yeah. So career services is wonderful. I know a lot of times when you're coming back to college or coming to college as an adult learner, you might kind of know your career path, but that might shift. You might take a biology class and change your mind.
Yep.
Or you might take a biology class and fall in love and then decide you want to go that route. So career services is great, not only for like helping you figure out what you want to do, but also like resume writing, interview skills, job searching. We know the job market is crazy out there. We actually have some really good podcast episodes on each of those topics. Yeah. So career services is great.
You can do a headshot there also, which is pretty amazing. It's like a photo booth. You do it yourself.
Yeah.
So it's very, I don't know. I really like that about it because it's not. I don't know. There's not somebody sitting there like, okay, so you're kind of picking what you like best because the pictures show up on the screen and you're like, okay, I'll take that one.
Yes, and so you can they'll tell you how to the little camera will tell you how to pose, how to smile, things like that. Yep.
And as we were saying, sometimes you change your idea. You might decide to change your major. Maybe you've thought all along, this is what I want to do. You take that biology class and it's like, oh, hold on. No, this is not what I want to do. So they have career testing. So you can go in and take a test and determine, based on your personality or what you like to do or what your skills are, and it'll match you up with jobs. And I always tell people when I did this before I started college, mine told me I'd be a good counselor, which I feel like I kind of do that all the time anyway, a good veterinarian, a good funeral service director. And I was like, what? What is that? Where'd that come from? But it's based on my personality, and I like helping people, and I'm empathetic. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you might find that there's some calling out there for you that you don't even know until you take a test like that. Mm-hmm. You don't know that my skills and my personality would fit really well with this job. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important when you're unsure about what you want to do. If you've started in a major and it's like, no, I'm just not sure about this, go see them because they'll be able to help you with that as well.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about the academic side, but besides your professor, UNG offers so many academic resources, whether that's tutoring for your STEM subjects or the writing center to get help with literally writing any type of paper. The great thing is they also know the professors really well. And so they can give you some of that information of like, okay, this professor probably wants it this way, or, they can give you some of those insider tips. You might have an SI or supplemental instructor in your classroom who is a great resource for studying, and academic coaches are great for helping you kind of figure out a plan for your academics to balance home and school. And so those are just a few of the many, many academic resources we offer.
And one of the other things I wanted to mention is we have lounges for our veterans specifically that are only accessible by veterans or those currently serving. So if you're in the National Guard or the reserves, then you're able to have access to our lounges. So that's just a place where, with veterans, they can go behind closed doors, they can say what they want, they can talk to each other, they can talk about war stories, they can talk about anything. Things that, the average student might not be comfortable hearing, they can just talk about it with each other. Mm-hmm. And it just forms a sense of community and belonging when they can do that, when they can talk to each other about anything. So that is something that I'm really proud that we have. We also have some open area lounges where adult learners, anybody can go and just have a quiet place to study. So we have those on the Gainesville and Dahlonega campuses as well. So just a place to go between classes. So if you're an adult learner or a veteran and you've got a job and once I go home, either I'm going to work or I'm not going to have any place where I can study. So, between classes, you can come into the lounges, you can sit down and do your work. We have computers available and printing available and all that. And so those are real important, I think, that for that sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. And we're restructuring in Dahlonega a lounge area to make it bigger and more accessible for anybody who wants to use it. So I think that's pretty important as well. And then food pantry. So your basic needs are important to us. If you are hungry, it's really hard to study. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to focus. So we have food pantries on, I believe all of our campuses have some form of a food pantry. Some are bigger than others. But that is free food for you to take home. That is food you can take home to your family. It's not just for you. So if you've got a family, there's a certain amount of items that you can take from the food pantries to take home and cook. So I think that's something that's pretty close to my heart is making sure that there's food available. We do have for our veterans something called the UNG Heroes Kitchen. Mm-hmm. So within the lounges in Dahlonega and Gainesville, we typically have food in the refrigerator for them to be able to grab something to eat while they're on campus so they're not hungry. And then again, the food pantry, that's for eating on campus. The food pantry is for you to take food home for your family, for you and your family.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of kind of advice that we would give to students, especially students who are returning or starting fresh as an adult learner. But I think the biggest things that we see over and over is just making sure they advocate for themselves. Yes. Because no one else will advocate for you like you advocate for yourself. And asking questions when you don't know. Yep. I know Laura and her whole team are great resources. And so if you have a question about absolutely anything, you can email, stop by, and just be like, hey, I don't know about blah, 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 blah. Right. And you'll point them in the right direction.
That's correct. And if we don't know, most of us have been here a while, so we pretty much know where all the resources are. But if it's a question we don't know the answer to, we'll find it for you. We do not send you on a wild goose chase. Just go over there and ask them. We're going to find out and then tell you. So I think that's important. And again, that advocating for yourself. Like, I can tell you all day where the counseling, where student counseling is and where financial aid is and where tutoring is and the writing center. But it's up to you to take advantage of that. And it's so important. It's there for you. There's so many resources available. Yeah. So you have to be the one that says, okay, I'm gonna try this. And I will walk you there. Like I said earlier, I will walk you where you need to go. Because it's that important that that we have these resources for you and that you take advantage of it. Yeah. So just and ask the questions if you don't understand. Again, if you're in class and you don't understand something and maybe you just don't want to ask in front of everybody, then your instructor, your professor will have office hours where you can go and sit down with them and ask the questions. And again, they might have additional resources. They might say, hey, go look at this website and look at this, and this will help you to understand it better.
Absolutely.
But you've got to do it for yourself.
Yes.
And most of you will. Most of you, you're here for a reason, and you are not going to just sit back and not understand something and not ask about it. But that's probably the biggest advice I can give you, is to be your own advocate and ask the questions.
Awesome. Well, I know we talked briefly about your role in your department, but I know y'all are doing things all the time to support specifically veteran and adult learners, and first gen and a bunch of other people. But specifically, what are some of the things that y'all do throughout the semester to help either veterans or adult learners?
All right. So we do. So one of the things we've been doing with veterans lately is we're trying to do more events where they connect with each other. We're trying to do things that help with things like PTSD. If you're a veteran coming out of service, you've been told what to do for the last at least 4 years that you've been in. Somebody tells you what to do every step of the way. This is when you eat. This is when you have PT. This is when you do this. This is when you do that. Now you don't have that. And so we are here to guide you, to kind of like a checklist. This is what you need to do next. We want to make sure that that you have that guidance. So we do a lot of different workshops. We do a lot of workshops on stress management, time management. We do the events that I was just talking about. We've done something. We have a garden on campus at the Vickery House. We've done events over there for gardening therapy. So you can go help with the garden. You can help, pull weeds or pull the produce off the tomatoes off the vines, and then you get to take some home with you. So it's kind of like you're getting a little therapy there by getting your hands in the dirt, but then you get to take food home. So that helps with food insecurity. But just we're going to do a resource fair in the fall for our veterans, just to make sure where all even the outside resources are besides what we have here. But we're just anything that is going to help you be successful. And I'll take any suggestions, because that's where some of my workshops have come from. One of my veterans said, I don't know how to translate my military experience into, civilian language on a resume. How do I do that? So we started a resume writing workshop. So we try to hone in. I was an adult learner. I have a full line of veterans in my family. I try to think of things that would help, but our best ideas come from you guys. So if there's something that you want to learn more about, or just tell us, and we'll create a workshop for that and try to help you with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming to chat with us,
You're welcome.
Me, about veterans and adult learners. I know that y'all really care about, we all really care about our students, but y'all have a special place in your heart for adult learners and veterans, and just knowing how many resources are available and knowing they have you as a point of contact is really wonderful for UNG students.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And my students know I'll move mountains if I have to. I really, our department, and everybody at UNG, but our department, we really want to make sure that you have everything you need, and we will push to get what you need to be successful. But we need your help too. You just tell us, if we're not doing something that you think we should be doing, you tell us, and then we're going to see if we can do that to make your life, to make it more successful here as a student.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you, and good luck to our veterans and our adult learners. Y'all got this. You are prepared. You are going to do amazing things, and we're here to support you the entire way.
All right. Look forward to meeting you guys.
Bye.
Bye.